everyone. Valhalla Voom here for episode 4 of Voom on Sex. What are we cooking up in the kitchen today? We have maple pound cake with walnuts. What's our topic of discussion? We're going to briefly define what is polyamory. What does being polyamorous mean? Before that, let's get to the kitchen.
We're already in the kitchen.
Damn it, Dad! So here we are in the kitchen getting ready to make a very delicious maple walnut pound cake. You know, give it a good pounding for your cake. Oh yeah! It also has a maple glaze, and we know glazing things, eating glazed things, so delicious. Glazing the pound cake, I could go on and on and on, but let's get to it. First, we're going to start with 1.25 cups of butter. Then we're going to add our sugar. All of these measurements are in the recipe. We're going to cream our butter and sugar. After everything is nice and creamy, got your sugar and your butter married together like we always do, always starting with the butter and the sugar. I'm going to add 1 egg at a time. Let each egg fully incorporate into the batter. You always want to give the sides of the bowl a good rub down. Our batter is now ready for maple extract and vanilla extract. You're going to add 3/4 teaspoon of maple, and fuck that, we're not measuring the vanilla. No. Whoops. Well, whoops. This recipe also calls for 1/2 cup of maple syrup. You want to make sure to use real maple syrup. The syrup is going to be added to the batter before the dry ingredients. So as you can see, if Magnus will get a close-up on this batter, the batter looks curdled. This is normal. This is about how blended you want it to be before you add the dry ingredients. So we're going to add the cake flour and baking powder, but we already have our baking soda and cake flour blended. Now that our batter is nice and smooth, look at that, no curdling there. Time to add our coarsely chopped, ground walnuts. We're going to fold these in. So pretty. That. Fold just until mixed in. Then we're going to pour it into our already prepared bundt pan, which has been buttered and floured. It tastes like pancakes. Time to slide her into the oven for 1 hour, maybe a little bit more. So we're gonna slide her into a preheated oven of 350 degrees. Be sure to give it a good shake, and let's do this. So for episode 4 today, our topic is polyamory. We're going to briefly touch the very tip of the iceberg, which defines what polyamory means, or what being polyamorous is. The actual definition of poly means many or multiple. and amory means love. So essentially we could say that polyamory means many loves, or if I'm polyamorous, that I love many people. I have a few of my favorite books on the topic of polyamory, which I would actually suggest for anyone to read, whether or not they're considering polyamory, they consider themselves already polyamorous, or if they're in a monogamous relationship. What I like about these books is they really focus on communication and kind of thinking outside of the box. One book that I don't have, somebody borrowed it, didn't give it back, you know who you are. That book actually is called The Ethical Slut, and that is by Dossie Easton and Janet Hardy. But the books I have in front of me today are my go-to books, especially this book called Opening Up by Tristan Tamarino. I would say this book has a great definition of what polyamory is, which I'm going to read to you. Sam's gonna help. I would define polyamory as the desire for or the practice of maintaining multiple significant intimate relationships simultaneously. These relationships may encompass many elements, including love, friendship, closeness, emotional intimacy, recurring contact, commitment, affection, flirting, romance, desire, erotic contact, sex, and a spiritual connection. I think that's a beautiful definition of polyamory. I also think that when we look at labels for each other, that you don't have to put yourself in any one box. Any two people can come together and decide what kind of relationship works for them. What I love about reading polyamory or talking with people who consider themselves polyamorous is it usually focuses on communication, cherishing your friendships, cherishing your relationship, doing the work. Relationships and love, they don't just happen. It's not like a magical formula and you add water and you stir it and then like, poof, hey, we got marriage. Any kind of relationship that you have is gonna take some sort of commitment or effort. Another great book is called More Than Two by Franklin Vu and Eve Rickard. I like both of these books. I like the way that they address jealousy and boundaries, expand on definitions, what I just personally kind of call the polyamory spectrum. I don't know where I got this. I think I just made it up because I just make up words. But to me, the polyamorous spectrum is almost like the Masters and Johnson scale. And I hate to, again, I don't want to put people in boxes, and I don't want to say that things are always linear. Things in life aren't linear. Life is fluid. Everything is subject to change. One day you could consider yourself monogamous. The next day you could decide celibacy and be asexual. The next day you could decide that you're gay. I mean, you know, that's what's the beauty about life is as an adult, you get to make your own choices. Solo polyamory would essentially be you see yourself as your primary partner to yourself. There's also what I consider linear polyamory. It means that you practice polyamory, you have multiple relationships where love and sex are or are not included. It's a linear, meaning there's no hierarchy. There's no primary partner, secondary partner, or what some people call tertiary partners. The main focus here is communication. That's what you want to bring to any relationship you have, whether or not it's monogamous or polyamorous. A lot of people ask me though, well, isn't being polyamorous, like if you consider yourself still polyamorous, aren't you just having sex with lots of people? And to that I would say, hey, there's nothing wrong with being a slut. If that's your bag and you communicate and it's ethical, it's certainly much better than being deceitful and a cheater and lying to your partner or your partners. In conclusion of this topic, it is something dear to my heart. I love discussing relationships with people. I think that we're all here to make connections with other people. And certainly I would just like to say that, you know, I would marry Sam if I could. He is my cat husband. Isn't that right? Even though he's a little mean sometimes. I'm so excited for episode 5 when we have our very first guest interview with Coco Joelle, one of my long-term best friend's non-sexual primary partner. We're at the end of episode 4. That's okay, don't cry. There's gonna be so much more coming on this topic, coming for polyamory. And today we made a delicious maple walnut pound me cake. And
There's
looking
looking good.
good.
Missing. You've been eating it already?
What are you talking about? What?
The piece
It looks
missing?
good. What? What are you talking about, Magnus? Piece
So
missing?
you're trying to pretend you didn't eat the piece already?
Eat what?
Before we even finish the episode?
No. He just loves to ruin birthday surprises.
What?
Always complaining. No bacon, no bacon, no bacon. We have a very special piece for Magnus today. I'm hoping that he approves, the video guru that he is. What I've done here is I've added maple and brown sugar candied bacon. How you make that, you just take maple syrup, brown sugar, you mix it up, you dip the bacon, you put it on a cookie sheet, you bake it in the oven at about 400, and you watch it turn into like some serious deliciousness. Happy birthday, dear Magnus. Make a wish. Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, I think he might even be happy. Oh. We're all so happy to see Magnus enjoy his bacon finally. Don't be sad, we're at the official end, but we know what time that is. It's time for the magical unicorn. Woo! Yeah. All right. Have a good week, have a good month, have a good year. Wishing you well. Or you can lay on the table and politely join the shoot. Politely join by laying on the table.